2020 has been quite a year.
Yes, yes.
But something I want to highlight, Dan Handford, is you happen to literally close a $50 million asset smack in the middle of COVID.
I think it's more than 50. I think it was more than 50, right in the middle.
I mean, August and I were looking at each other being like, we'll get there. We're going to get there.
Yeah, and what you talked about building that thought leadership platform, about giving that free content, about being so trustworthy that even active investors come and partner with you, is times where you're doing a deal in the worst economic crisis and people still have trust in you to come on board and invest with your deal. So please, tell us a little bit more about that process and briefly,
how your investors trust you wholeheartedly and
to come on.
So this year we actually closed a little over 165 million in assets, and two of them were large, $50 million deals. One was just under, it was a 49.955, but we can round up and say it's 50, okay? But the other one was a $57.6 million deal. We also closed a 27 million and another $21.6 million deal as well. But the one that you're referring to that really kind of was the harder one for us was in the beginning of March of this year, 2020, we had locked up a really good, solid deal out of the Raleigh, North Carolina. Actually, no, this one was actually out of the Charlotte MSA. It was in the Lake Norman area of Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was a $49.95 million deal, and we were raising $19.4 million to acquire that one. Now, mind you, that was the largest raise we had ever had. So we had actually closed a $51.5 million deal prior to that in October of 2019. But this one, that was a $14 million raise. This one was because it was a different debt structure. This one was a $19.4 million raise. So we had a lot more equity that we had to raise on it. And then the moment we get it under contract, you guys know what happened in the latter part of March. The bottom fell out of the market, everything contracted, and it was just a really, I kind of call it a butt pucker moment, if you will, right? Because it's one of those situations where you get into it and you're like, I sure hope we can close this deal, right? I know it's still a really good deal, even given the market because of the dynamics of that particular deal. But normally that $14 million deal, the $14 million raise that we did to close that $51.5 million deal, we raised that $14 million in about 2 weeks. So, and then since that deal, we had brought in another 600 new investors into our fold. And so we were like, oh, this would be a walk in the park, probably another 2 weeks to be able to, fill it up. And no, it took a lot longer than 2 weeks. So we did a lot of update webinars for our investors that were interested in that project to make sure that they knew it was going to be a good, solid deal. And we were monitoring it too, because we didn't want to get into a deal if we felt like it wasn't going to be the right thing for us or for our investors. And so we were making sure we got collection report updates, like almost on a weekly basis. And we were updating the investors. We did a demographic study, very detailed, ourselves on site. We went on during our lease audit and shared all that information with the investors so that they knew the risks that might have been involved with the resident population. And we were able to finally raise all the money on the 59th day, and we closed it on the 60th day. Wow. So it was a 60-day close. But it was definitely a stressful time for sure.